G'day everybody. Just a quick blog to keep you up to date on everything that's been happening. We've had such a busy few months since the last one that I sent of these. A lot of questions have been coming in about interest rates, so I'll start there. I think, me personally, that by year's end most of us will be on 686 to 696 as your variable rate. That's 2 more rises this year. You know that we've had 5 in the last 7 months, so and consider they had December and January off, the RBA, so they couldn't make decisions there, so it's been 1 a month. And I know a lot of you are hanging out every first Tuesday of every month to find out what the RBA is going to do. But I think there's still 2 to go. I disagree with the strategy that they're currently using. I think they're moving too fast and not checking on the end result of the rises that they're putting in. Gail Kelly, the chairman of the Westpac, the other day was on file as saying she thinks 1 more by the end of the year, so I hope that she's right. Glenn Stevens, it was interesting the other day, first time ever a Reserve Bank governor appeared on the Sunrise Show with David Koch. I'll say what this is a quote: "I think it's a mistake to assume that a riskless, easy way to prosperity is just to be leveraged into property. You know it isn't going to be that easy," and I agree with him, of course. But what he was trying to say then, you've got to look at the framework that he said that in. Reserve Bank's got 2 weapons that they can use to stop a housing bubble develop, which is what it is. One, they can put the rates up, which makes everyone nervous, and everyone rings me and says, "Jim, should we stay variable?" And I'm very much stay variable right now, not fix in. And so they can use those rates to put it up to stop any bubble forming. Or if they're coming to the end of the cycle where they don't want to keep putting rates up because it will damage too many other industries, which is currently happening now. If you look at the figures for retail, flattening out, housing construction, all these sorts of things are still dropping. So the other strategy they use is to scare everyone. So he goes on TV, tries to scare the pants off everyone to get everyone to start thinking about things before they move into the property market. But that just signals that it's nearing the end of the interest rate cycle. So they don't want another Paul Keating recession, which Paul Keating used the interest rate weapon, and he put the rates up to 17%, you remember, back in 1989, which not only killed any housing boom that we were having at that stage, but sent the country into a recession that we had to have, was his excuse. It was an absolute fiasco. So I hope we've got people that are smarter than that now, and I'm sure we have. So don't even think that that's going to happen. I will though show you what's worrying the Reserve Bank with capital growth figures now for the last decade. And these are really interesting. So I'll start with houses. Melbourne, this is from 00 to 010, the official figures from the Bureau of Statistics. Melbourne increased by 10.7% per annum. This is houses. Brisbane 10.1, Perth 11.8, Hobart 11.9, Darwin 11.2, Adelaide 10.4, and Sydney 6.6. The worst decade Sydney has ever had on record. What a great time to be an investor. But if we look at the figures from February 09 to February 010, so this is last year during the global recession, Melbourne went up 16.3, and you were reading about that in the newspapers, just how much they've been booming. Brisbane 6.5, Perth 2, Hobart 5, Darwin 11, Adelaide 7, Sydney 13.2. So while you could be mistaken for thinking we're making 1% per month now, so we're finally getting the rises that we've been predicting now, the end of decade boom, it's just a quick catch-up. So the Reserve Bank knows that as well, and that's why I think they're starting to use all the other tricks in their book to try and curtail these rather dramatic rises. But it will only get us back to what we should have done, which is a 10 to 12% per annum. And as all of you people with grey hair that are watching this right now will remember, every 7 to 10 years your houses were supposed to double, and of course they haven't in Sydney. If you bought a property in 2003, our figures show, you would have just broken even now, or broke by 2007, then we dropped again in 2008, 09, and now we're just back to parity. So that's what these figures are showing. But if you hold on now, with 13.2 happening, do the maths, over the next couple of years, and you'll see that we'll all start to make some money out of this, and we've just had to hold for the last decade. Here's units. Melbourne, this is from 00 to 010, the 10-year cycle. Melbourne, 9.8, Brisbane, 10.3, Perth, 7, Hobart, 9, Darwin, 11, Adelaide, 11.5, and Sydney, 6. So units were the same as houses, but let's have a look at that February 09 to February 010, the last 12 months. Melbourne, 16%, Brisbane, 3, Perth, 7, Hobart, 9, Darwin, 17, staggering, Adelaide, 8, Sydney, nearly 11% there. So we're again, take Darwin out of the thing, we're the second major capital now that's going. I think Melbourne is running to the end of its cycle, and I would consider that by certainly the mid-year figures, by the time we get June, you'll see Sydney will be number 1 again in the capital growth figures, and Darwin, of course. So do we sell or hold? Well, that's a question that I get all the time. My phone's ringing hot. Do we sell? Supply versus demand. Let's go back to the fundamentals, which is what I said to you last year, why there was going to be a boom in the middle of a global financial crisis. Some of you remember the press that I got on that. And why? Undersupply is critical across Australia, more critical in Sydney than anywhere else. So undersupply equals rising prices. Less property on the market, more buyers wanting to buy it due to immigration and birth, all of that sort of thing. We are in a rising pricing cycle right now, as experienced by our capital growth rate there is of 11 to 13% per annum. Undersupply, or oversupply, sorry, which we experienced in 03 to 07, which is what caused our prices in Sydney to stagnate and in fact fall. That was caused by the Olympic building boom. Everyone came to Sydney, booming Sydney, because Sydney got the Olympics, and there was a building cycle that just went over and above, which caused an oversupply, which of course made our prices stagnate. And I'm sure that Glenn Stevens from the Reserve Bank knows the quickest way to kill a real estate boom is to get the supply side of the equation fixed up and start telling councils and governments in each of the states to make it easier for builders to build, tell the banks to make it easier for the banks to borrow, and lo and behold, prices will flatten out. The market always finds its own level. Now rents, in this rising price cycle,